It's just simply looking at life a little bit differently. To start counting our blessings and not our problems. You know, I've realised in my life that there are really only two types of people in the world. There are those that live above the line and there are those that live below the line. If there's one thing you take away from today, I really hope it's this. Because I realise that there are those who use the pain and suffering to justify their failures. And there are those who use the exact same pain and suffering as the motivation to succeed. When you live below the line, you lay in bed, you blame other people, you make excuses and you live in denial. It is scientifically proven that you'll become a victim more than 40 times a day. But what we need to do is we need to grab our oar and steer our ship in the direction we want to take it. But sometimes we feel as though we're on a paddle boat and we've got one oar. And what's happening if we're on a paddle boat and we've got one oar? It's going round and round in circles, right? So rather than working smarter and getting a peer, a colleague, a friend, a counsellor, a coach to sit in with us, we work harder and harder and harder. We spiral out of control, we get sucked down, and we live our life as a victim. Let me just make sure everyone's in the room awake. Who here knows somebody that lives their life as a victim? Yep. That was a terrible time to look to your left. I'm assuming you weren't referring to the person to your left, right? Like, yeah, you're a bloody victim. I know exactly who you are. I'm sure you're like, yeah, we know them, right? We all know someone that sucks the life out of the room. I'm a presenter. I travel around the world and speak. I know people. I can see people in the room that are sucking the life out of me whilst I'm on stage. Not this room. Everyone's amazing in here, right? But even the Smurf. Like, I promise you. But we know people, right? The problem is we can all identify who is the bad fruit fly in the fruit bowl. But rarely do we acknowledge whether we are the fruit fly in somebody else's fruit bowl. When was the last time we just stopped and reflected and had a look? Are we adding value to the world? Are we adding value to our circle? Are we adding value to our family? Or are we just going about our business existing? Living on autopilot? Just trying to make money to feed the family? I think when we live above the line, we take ownership, accountability, and responsibility of our lives. We have the ability to respond as a victim, or we have the ability to respond as a navigator. The most important part about this slide is this last point. It does not matter how often you become a victim, it's about how long you choose to stay there. I love the analogy of the lady who's trying to lose weight, man trying to lose weight, loves mud cake, hasn't had cake for 6 months, doing really well, goes to a party, there's mud cake, and she or he has a little bite of the mud cake. He dips down as a victim and thinks, oh man, that sucks, I shouldn't have had that piece of mud cake. And rather than jumping back above the line and going, it's okay, I'll go and do an extra kilometre tomorrow, they eat the whole bloody cake. We need to identify when we're down there and what we need to do to get above the line. Who here's got twins? Anybody twins in the room? I love the story about the twins. There's a victim twin and navigator twin. The victim twin opens up his Santa sack one Christmas. He's like, Nintendo 64, I want an Xbox. That's the victim twin, right? Navigator twin, excuse my language, opens up his Santa sack and it is dead set full of horse shit. And he starts digging in, shit's going all over the lounge room floor, and you walk in and go, what are you doing, son? He stops from around and goes, Daddy, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere. It's not so much the situation, but how you deal with it, right? I love the twins. They grow up. One's an alcoholic, one's an athlete. They interviewed the alcoholic. They said, why are you an alcoholic? He said, oh, I'm an alcoholic because I watched my dad growing up. They interviewed the athlete. They said, why don't you drink? Why are you an athlete? He goes, oh, I don't drink and I'm an athlete because I watched my dad growing up. I love my dad, but he taught me how not to be a dad. He taught me how not to be a husband. And I'm so grateful for that lesson. Often we strive to admire the traits in other people that we want to implement in our lives, but I think just as important, we need to acknowledge the traits in other people that we do not admire so we do not implement those behaviours in our life. For me, there are just 3 steps that I take to try and get myself out of this victim mentality that we all go into every day. The first thing I do is I need to move. I need to do something, some sort of exercise. Lance Armstrong, one of the greatest cyclists to ever ride a bike, right? Yes, he had an amazing pharmacist, but he was a very, very good rider. I shared that joke a couple of weeks ago in America, didn't get a laugh. Straight I was like, oh, too soon. Okay, too soon, I'm sorry. But if we fall off our bike and choose not to get back on, that's it, right? Race over. We need to get back on the horse. We need to get back on the bike. Make today the first day of the rest of your life. Make today the first day you go, you know what, I'm going to change. I want to change. I want to be better. I want to be better in all elements of my life. As a husband, as a wife, as a partner, as a friend. The second thing we need to do is we need to share. I thought it was a sign of weakness for a long time, but now I understand it's a sign of strength to actually put your hand up and say, I need some help. And my wife and I, we're very, very different. And the analogy that I like to use is like petrol. She drives the car, and we've got a full tank of juice, right? And it gets down to 3/4 full. And she stops and fills it back up, right? It annoys the heck out of me. I drive, the red light comes on, and then I say to myself, I've got 85 kilometres to go. And then 4 days later, my wife says, how long's the red light been on? And I go, I don't know, but I haven't driven 85 kilometres, so I'm okay. Now I don't do that. I used to burn out and then go and see a counsellor. Now I see one every 90 days. I get the emotional top up before my tank is empty. And the last one is help. We need to help people that are less fortunate than we are. I promise you, when you make a difference in somebody else's life who can never return the favour, your life will change forever. You'll focus on impact only. And that's when you really start to be congruent with the life that you've been blessed with. For me, 2016 was when everything started to change for me. I was touring with the Dalai Lama in Branson and had a gig on Fox Sports. And then I was on some weird show in America called Ridiculousness on MTV. And a couple of people know it. You must be between the ages of about 12 and 15, is that right? It's weird because it was on 2 nights ago, replayed in America, and then I woke up and Instagram had 200 extra followers and they were all 15-year-old girls. I was like, okay, not really the market. But then